Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Masterclass. Today we have a fine young baritone, Bryan Murray. His panelists will be John Packard, George Hogan, Richard Barrett, Maestro Stephen Lord, and John Cheek. Sit back and enjoy the live singing. And Bryan, what would you like to sing for us?
I would love to sing for you the excerpts of Act 2 of Billy Budd.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to mute, please, and then we will get started.
But ain't it all sham? A blur's in my eyes. It is dreaming that I am. But Donald, he has promised to stand by the plank. So I'll shake a friendly hand ere I sing. But no, it is dead, then I'll become too thin. They'll lash me in hammock, drop me deep. Fathoms down fathoms, how I'll dream fast asleep. I fear
Yes. Yes.
Of man, never your choice no more. Farewell to this grand rough world. Never more shipmates, no more sea. No looking down from the heights to the depths. And I've sighted a sail in the storm, that far shining sail that's not fair. I've seen where she's bound for. She has a land of her own where she'll anchor forever. Oh, I'm contented. Don't matter now being hanged or being forgotten and lost in the weeds. Don't matter now. I'm strong, and I know it, and I'll stay strong. I'll stay strong, and that's all, and that's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Wow. Thank you, Bryan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with our upper left-hand corner, John Packard.
Ah, Bryan, beautiful.
Thank you.
One of my favorite roles.
Oh, it's such a beautiful.
I can't see him. Can I see him rather than
I'm just turning up
your
the
beautiful
volume.
face, John Tenalia?
I'm back.
All right. I have a lot to say, but I'm pick on you about one thing right now, and that's the last consonants. You can vibrate on some of those.
Okay.
You know, all the S's need to sound a little bit more than they are. I'm not picking those up.
Okay.
And you're going to find that when you do this role, you're probably going to be doing it in another country other than the United States. It seems that I've done it in Italy and in Germany. They like having an American for the part. So you really have to make sure they get the words, because
Right.
there's some strange words in there, right?
Yes.
The other thing is that with this role is he's different from anybody else on that boat. There's a sweet innocence about him, and that's what I think what captures the captain's heart. And we need to see a little bit more of that when you do this role, when you do this scene. A smile. It's painful, but he still smiles. He tries to smile through what's going on.
Right.
You know, there's so many other people here. Let's continue.
Great. Well, thank you, John.
Well,
Okay. Do we go to my right, which Richard Barrett, Maestro?
Hi, John. Beautiful voice. Wonderful. There are just a couple of things I mean, 95% of what you're doing is correct. So if I'm saying anything negatively, please forgive me. Your pianist is playing a different tempo from what you're singing in the beginning. You set one tempo with your voice and she's playing something else. It's not the same. I think that needs to be more together. And I think that there's some of the notes that you're singing in this aria that you're just throwing away. You're not paying attention to every note. That's what I would suggest you do. That every note is important. Not one is less or more. And I could use a little more nuance in your singing in the beginning in terms of dynamics and more surprise in what you're saying. And maybe just the recording is missing a lot of that. I'm sure that that's true.
Yeah, there was a little hiss. Actually, if I may interrupt, when
Sure.
in some of the pauses, I did pick up some hissing. So I apologize for that.
That's
and I would
okay.
say that a lot of that could be the recording. But please continue. I'm sorry.
The ending I thought was very beautiful. And you were singing in sort of a mezzo di voce. That was beautiful. You could use a little bit more nuance like that in the beginning of the piece. But those are the things that I would concentrate on. You just have to be completely in sync with your pianist. Right? That's the same tempo that you're saying. Right? That's all I'm saying. Next.
Thank you, Richard. Can we go
Welcome.
to George Hogan, please?
Hey, Bryan, fabulous voice, and I love all the dynamics and everything. And please say hello to your father for me. It's been a long time since I've seen him. I'm going to be really nitpicky. I love what John, what everybody has said so far, and I think it absolutely is just the remaining 5%. But for me in this, especially when it comes to English, I want to hear inflection. So I want to hear different syllables being brought out as opposed to the same syllabic, distribution. Like in a word, if I said, a 3-syllable word, I want to hear the one syllable out of those. I know that's being very picky, but it as a listener, it makes me want to engage and hear the text that you're bringing, and it just gives a little bit more flavor. The dynamics I found were excellent, and I think maybe some more nuances, like the Maestro had said earlier. But for me, I would look at just an inflecting a little bit more syllabic inflection with some of those with the words in the text. That's
Great.
all.
Thank you, George. Can we go to Maestro Lord, please?
Hello, Bryan. You're afraid you were with Doris and Richard. That makes me happy. Very old friends. Okay. I've heard this on auditions gazillions of times. Okay. What always strikes me is that the person is not physically involved enough. It's you're by yourself, and yet you need to take in the whole room. This becomes always, Bryan, too inner, and this will reflect in what people have been saying about your words. Remember, this was Britain's first grand opera, written for a big opera house, and I think it was for Covent Garden first. And I think that the soft singing is a bit for the recital stage. I think probably the soft singing needs more body, more depth, more point. Right now it's a bit like Du bist die Ruhe, you know what I mean? You're going to have to judge these dynamics for the size of the house that this opera was written for and for the people it was written for. To that end, the position you're in right now, which is a more open position, I know what's going on in the opera, but you need to take that energized, metaphorical step forward, so that you invite us into you, as opposed to retreating, which every Billy Budd wants to do in this, because it makes the audition, if you're doing this, very long. And plus the fact I wouldn't offer this audition wise unless it's for the role, because there's not enough variety in it for its length to get enough bang for your buck. Okay. We were talking about, they were talking about final, was it Richard talking about final consonants or someone? You know, there's a
John. Yeah.
John, there's a misconception about diction in English or in any language, and that is that too many people say spit those consonants out. Well, what you do when you spit consonants out is you create spit. You don't create a consonant, okay? But a well-timed consonant that comes within the micro pulsations within it, within a word, you know, if the consonant comes within the rhythm of the phrase, within your inner rhythm, and no one can tell you what that is except for you, well-timed is so much more important because the ear is waiting to hear it. And if you say it at the right time, the ear will hear it without tons of spit, if that makes any sense to you. You know, you can listen to a lot of great singers like Dieskau, who's brilliant at diction. I'm Birgit Nielsen, sing Ruhe du Gott. You know, it's kind of like those consonants have to be like darts. When you play darts, you don't go like that to throw the dart. You go hop, pop. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Brian? And so if these final consonants can be within the rhythmical context, I think you'd have a lot more success with them being clear because the ear wants to hear them there.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Okay, and can we go to John Cheek, please?
Hi, Brian. Great singing. Great singing. I think most of the points have been covered pretty well. However, there are a couple of things I'd like to say. I also agree with Stephen that and maybe somebody else, I can't remember, that your opening dynamic is not likely to work on a big stage, and it needs to have more depth under it. And also something that would help that carry is I'm getting the words kind of chop, 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 rather than getting a real legato from the beginning there. And when you have that legato, then you can do that word emphasis. What was on a biscuit? One thing that I noticed that'll help. I mean, you need to establish your presence on stage when you begin that, and you make a beautiful soft sound, and it's beautiful. I think saving it for that level of dynamic for the end would be great, because that was really beautifully sung. Let's see, anything else? I think everybody else has pretty much covered it. I want more line, and so much and that will really kick your voice out into the theater.
Brian, can I ask, the first word is look, correct?
Yes.
That's a verb. It's an imperative of the verb. Verbs are action words. So what is inside that word that has action in it, that you can make us think has action in it?
The K.
I think it's the L.
Okay. I was going to say L, but...
It's like, rather than look, isn't it more like look?
Yes.
Do you know, isn't it more like listen to me? It's a verb. You know what I mean? And that K, you can practice it. That K can do what I was talking about, being rhythmically precise, doesn't have to be too big.
Yeah.
Okay.
That will help you with legato too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. What I'm going to, Brian, would you like to sing something else for us? We still have a few minutes. Let me just make sure. Hold on one sec. Yes, we do.
What were you up to, Brian, before COVID and all this craziness? You were in Berlin.
I was in Berlin. I was coming back to New York to go to Washington. I was coming back home to go to Washington to do a concert of Le Petit Messe Solennel. And then I was going to go back to Germany to do a couple competitions over the summer. And I was going to go to Paris to do a workshop in Werther, which would be with the baritone doing Werther.
Yeah.
But
it's not a very good version. You know that, right?
No, yeah, and I don't think I do it, but it was just going to be a fun thing to do.
Oh, well, you're perfect for it. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely perfect for it. So you want to live in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Europe.
It's crazy here. There's nothing. It's crazy to try to move back here. It's just
dead. What would you like to sing first, Bryan? What would you like to sing?
Well, I can leave that up to you guys. What would you like to hear?
Okay. What do you have prepared so that we can? I did send everybody a list, but what do you have prepared?
So I have the Korngold, Die Tote Stadt aria.
You just sang it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was saying that first. I have the Jalecki from Peak Dam. I have Silvio excerpt from Pagliacci. I have Papageno, Suicide aria, and I have a Gluck aria from Iphigénie en Troide.
Which one?
The Dieu qui me poursuit.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Well, I think Stephen just made a choice for us. Go ahead, Stephen.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good one. Would you sing the Gluck? I mean, it's a real, if you'll pardon the expression, ball buster. So
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's bust your balls.
Let me just take a little sip of something quick.
Just take your time.
I always have Tom Allen in my head for the
Right.
He sang it so much. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to mute, please.
The rest of it for it as well.
Okay.
Dieu, à quels honneurs m'avez-vous réservé d'un aveugle destin, d'épourables victimes, partout errant et partout éprouvé, mon sort est accouplé, j'étais né pour le crime. Ce n'était pas assez que ma main meurtrière eût plongé le poignard dans le cœur d'une mère. Les dieux me réservaient pour un forfait nouveau. Je n'avais qu'un ami, je deviens son bourreau. Será
Wow. Thank you, Brian. Okay. And I'm sorry, your accompanist's name is? Hello, Jill. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay, we're going to work backwards now. We're going to start with John Cheek, and then we're going to work our way backwards to Stephen Lord, and so on and so forth.
Okay, I don't know this aria, so I don't know that there's a lot I can say here. But I mean, you handled the rather brutal tessitura very well, and I salute you for that. Again, I'm going to pick on legato again. Those phrases, they're kind of choppy in a few places. When you got up high there, that legato was really riding really nicely. But sometimes down below, you lose some of that, and you lose some, intensity in your voice and in your portrayal there. That's really all I can say right now, because I don't know this, and I'm sure some other people do. So I'll let others talk.
Thank you.
Okay, Maestro Lord. Stephen, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, that much faster. It's a bit too comfortable right now, tempo-wise. Okay?
It needs to be a little faster, you said?
Just a hair. If you're
Okay.
say if you're at 44 to the quarter note, how about making it 48? You know what I mean? Just needs a little more edge on it. Okay. Yeah, there's one thing I don't hear. You do this beautifully. I got to tell you, if you can sing or rest in this, you can sing anywhere. Okay, because it's that hard. The nightmare scene is a little trickier, but this is excellent. How do I say? These librettos of this day, they're written in verse. Okay, they're written with rhymes and whatever all else, and those rhymes dictate the length of the phrase. I don't hear them. I don't, even in the recitative, I don't hear the rhymes, and that's what anchors us in lyric writing. Make any sense to you?
Yes, I had not even noticed the rhymes. So
well, you see, it's one of the problems with, especially in Mozart recitatives and in the unaccompanied recitatives. They all have rhyming. They're written to verse, and so people forget oftentimes that there are rhymes. And these rhymes are the things that dictate the tempo of a recitative. Do you know what I mean? E la gioia mia ci sposeremo, rhymes. You know what I mean? All these things will be rhymes. So just see if you can identify the poetry a little bit more, because we've gotten into a period now where people want to act, right? But it's called the Italians, it's recitare. Do you know what I'm saying? You need to get the poetry figured out. But I got to tell you sang the shit out of it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to George Hogan, please.
Yeah, man, I have to echo Maestro and John. You sang the living shit out of that thing, and I love your passaggio, dude. You handle that so well, and that is something that you just don't hear much anymore. Everybody's wide open going through the passaggio, and so bravo, and that's going to help you sing for many years to come. My only comment, and I'm kind of like Cheek, I don't know this aria very well, but the one thing I would like to see in some of this, maybe it goes with what Stephen had just said as well, but I find that, I mean, obviously we all know in French there are no double consonants. And I just kind of felt like if you want to pick certain consonants to bring out, that's okay. But there were times when I felt like that really legato part of all the vowels in this text sometimes we're kind of jolted a little bit with maybe more length on consonants. Maybe someone else might want to speak to that a little bit more, but I think you could have really got a fluid motion. Maybe Stephen talking about picking up the tempo would resolve some of that, but man, I would really think more cursive E with those French consonants and not so much maybe angular. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Block letters, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Maestro. I miss you.
Yeah,
So,
I miss you too, George.
So, well, that's all I have to say.
Great,
You're
thank-
fab, yeah, but you're good God, what a voice, man! It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, thank you, George. Can we go to Maestro Richard Barrett, please? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me take you off mute. Hold on. I can do this. I actually know how. Okay, let's see.
Hi.
There you go.
Listen, again, you have a terrific voice. It's a wonderful voice. I was looking at your repertoire. I love the Russian aria, the Tchaikovsky, and the Suicide aria, Mein Seelen, the first aria, Billy and Billy Budd. This one's a little bit different. My question to you really is, why choose this particular repertoire? If you walk into an audition, I guess it's good if like some people are not going to know it, so they can't really make a judgment about it. But my question to you is why? How did you arrive at the choices of repertoire that you're singing?
Well, I think it's been a process over the past 8 years of trial and error, and so far this is over the past 8 months or so, these have been my 5. The Billy Budd I just added recently for applications that ask for an English. Otherwise, yeah.
See, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to enjoy more of the romantic and Mein Seelen and the Silvio. So I can have very easily just 5 arias that are that. But when I found the Gluck, I thought it would be a great variable from the other ones. And
I think, yeah, one of the things that I always tried, and when I'm coaching or teaching singers, we live in the United States, and American singers seemingly are required to sing in every language known to mankind, and not only sing it, but sing it well. I think that when you look at all the great singers, I mean, Pavarotti comes to mind. I mean, he only basically sang in his language, and all the great singers seem to do that. I never heard, you know what I'm saying? It's like I would if I were you, I would concentrate on whatever particular repertoire suits your voice the best. Maybe all of these do. Are you an Italian baritone? Are you a French baritone? Are you a German baritone? I know it sounds crazy, but if you walk into an audition and you're offering 4 or 5 different languages, I think you're stronger if you offer one particular language or maybe 2. I mean, Pavarotti never sang anything in English that I know of, and he didn't sing anything in German that I know of. So it's just a thought. It's just a thought when you choose repertoire. I think you have to be very careful, because you don't want to go in there and say, here, I'm this kind of baritone, and I'm this kind of baritone, and I'm this kind of baritone. It confuses people. That's just my 2 cents. But you do have a terrific voice, and I wish you all the best in the world when you go back to Germany, especially. You're welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, we have John Packard.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, very well done. Very well done. It's a bear. 2 little things about the piece itself. When you're doing those pickups, and I think this will help with your legato also, the de l'enfer, think about a little bit earlier, because they become muffled. They're almost gone. De l'enfer, and it'll make it easier for your Ds and your F sharps.
Okay.
The other thing, I want to continue what George was saying, because I looked at your repertoire and we're similar. So I can tell you that you want to have arias that are entrance roles. This is not an entrance role, as you know. Valentin certainly is. Instead, and everybody knows it. You're going to be compared to everybody. But if you do it well, you're going to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
You look like a Valentin. The other thing is Yavas Lublu is low. It's really low. And sure, you probably have a great G. The aria that you should do if you want to do any kind of Slavic or Russian is Robert's aria from Yolanta. Fabulous. Big G's, big F sharps, and it's exciting. And it's short. And it's a role that you could drop. I actually dropped in at the Bolshoi because I knew that aria. So I would recommend that. Papageno also is low. And you're more of a count than you are of a Papageno. It's an orchestration that's funny. Don't you, is Stephen there?
Yeah.
Don't you agree that Papageno is more of a bass baritone kind of role?
It's for nobody, it was written for somebody who couldn't sing.
Exactly.
So, it's just all middle voice.
Right.
It's just all middle voice. I mean, Harlequin you could do.
True.
You get the two Fs and that.
Yeah.
And it's short.
Yes.
Could I just add that while you're talking about repertoire, I would dump the Billy Budd and put in Sid from Albert Herring. Girls mean yada da da. You're young, you're handsome, you're lively, and that's exactly what people want from you. When you get older, you can get all serious.
Like us.
And if you want a gimmick, if you want the littlest gimmick in the world, John mentioned the Faust aria. The Faust aria was originally written in English. It was added when it went to Covent Garden. And singing the Faust aria in English, the original language, although people think it's French, might be an interesting gimmick to have and make somebody remember you. You're the one that sang it in the original language. But anyway.
And I have that if you want that.
Yeah, it's funny words, but
they swell.
Exactly, but it's pretty great. But really, I would love to hear you do Sid. You're so Sid. You all know that. And that requires talent and musicality and youth and everything that the Barber of Seville does. Only it's easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Bryan, you have some great advice from some great people who I trust dearly, and we've all worked together. And you know how I feel about you personally. I think that you have a talent that's incomparable today. You have musicality that's just oozes out. I think that when you take all these ideas that everybody's given you and implement them in some way, I think that you're going to be more successful than you already are. I always enjoyed your performance, and I knew you even before you were born, so which is a long time. And unfortunately, I go back that way with your father, but I'm not going to get into that. But please give your mother a kiss from me, and I wish you all the best and continued success, and as we all do. So great. And Jill, thank you so much for sitting there and listening to us and supporting Bryan. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone.
And Bryan, if you decide to cut the hair, we could distribute it among
all of us. Listen,
John has already claimed it.
That's it. You're out. Everybody's out because
Packard's got hair. I hate him.
Yeah, I know. Packard's got hair. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Packard, you do have hair, but it's a little lighter than it used to be.
It's a lot lighter.
It used to be very red.